Yesterday we learned a third method to solve a quadratic. So now we know 3 different ways to solve a quadratic. The first was graphing. The second was factoring. And yesterday we learned how to complete the square. We're going to practice that today. I gave you a sheet with all the steps on it. So let me just go through this one really quickly. The first step is to divide by A. If A is greater than 1, you divide everything by that number, whatever that number is. So for this one, I divided everything by 2. And this is what I got. X squared minus 6x plus 7. Then you have to move C to the right. What is C? 7, yes. So how do I move it to the right? Subtract it. All right, and then after you subtract it, you move the negative 7 over to the right and leave a space there because I have to, that's the next step, add b over 2 squared to both sides. What is b over 2 squared? What is b? B is negative 6. Divide that by 2, that's negative 3. Square it, that's 9. So I'm adding 9 to both sides of the equation. That creates a perfect square trinomial. What is a perfect square? Perfect squares are numbers that you can take the square root of, right? Like 9. What's the square root of 9? That's where this number comes from. When you factor that perfect square trinomial, all you have to do is take the square root of 9. That is what goes here and here. These will always be the same because you want to write this as a binomial squared. So you factor the left side as a binomial squared. That's the next step. If you want to write it in vertex form, that comes from this step right here. Vertex form is y equals x minus 3 squared minus 2. You just bring that 2 back over. This is vertex form. But continuing from here will give you the solutions. So if you want to solve, you have to take the square root of both sides. What's the square root of x minus 3 squared? What's the square root of x minus 3 squared? X minus 3. What's the square root of 2? We can't actually take the square root of 2, so we keep it under the radical and it becomes plus or minus the square root of 2. To solve for x, I need to get rid of that 3, so I'm going to add it to both sides. When you add or subtract whatever this number is, you have to put it in front of this plus or minus. That's where your 2 solutions come from. You have to have that plus or minus to find the 2 solutions. For this one, it is x equals 3 plus square root of 2 and 3 minus square root of 2. Depending on what situation you're in, if you are taking a standardized test, then you might see the answer like this, or you could possibly see the answer as a decimal. What's the square root of 2? 1.4. So it'd be 3 plus 1.4 and 3 minus 1.4. And you would go ahead and get those 2 solutions. 3 plus 1.4 is 4.4. And 3 minus 1.4 is 1.6. So depending on what type of exam or quiz or whatever you might be taking, look and see what the answer choices are to decide how to write your answer. You can just leave it like that. Or it may not be asking you to solve at all. It may just ask you to put it in vertex form. If that's the case, then you can stop right there. All right, let's do one of these together. Turn on the back of this page that I just gave you. I left a blank step ladder there. This is how to complete the square. Remember that standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So when you get b over 2 squared or move c to the right or divide by a, this is where I'm getting a, b, and c from. So remember standard form, the a is always in front of x squared, the b is always in front of x, and c is the constant. So let's look at this example. Step 1 is to divide by a. If a is greater than 1, divide by a. In this case, a is negative 3. So we're dividing everything by negative 3. And what do we get? Can everybody see okay? Do I need to close the blinds? I know there's a glare sometimes. Everybody can see that okay? All right, number 2, what's the next step? Move C to the right. What is C? 9. How do I move it to the right? Subtract 9 from both sides. Leave a space there because you're going to have to add what? That's step 3. Add b over 2 squared to both sides. What's b over 2 squared? $16. Then we need to factor what's negative 9 plus 16 and simplify the right-hand side. We're going to factor the left and simplify the right. How do we factor this? What can we multiply to get 16 and add to get 8? It's also, this number will also be the square root of 16 or half of 8. It's the square root of C or half of B. And these two numbers should always be the same because my next step is to write it as a binomial squared. What's a binomial? X minus 4 is the binomial, and we can write that as x minus 4 squared because these two binomials are multiplied times itself. So x minus 4 times x minus 4 is the same thing as x minus 4 squared. That's what it means when I say write it as a binomial squared. And we can stop and write it in vertex form now, or we can continue and solve for x. Vertex form is what? Just bring that 7 back over. This is vertex form. The last step is to solve for x. How do we solve for x? Take the square root of both sides. All right, so I need to take the square root of x minus 4 squared, and I need to take the square root of 7. What's the square root of x minus 4 squared? X minus 4. And we cannot take the square root of 7, but we need to write it as plus or minus the square root of 7. We have to have positive and negative. That's what's going to make our two solutions. How do I solve for x? What's the last step in solving for x? I got to isolate the x, so I got to get rid of that negative 4 by adding it. Add 4 to both sides. Make sure you put that 4 in front of the plus or minus. So it's 4 plus or minus square root of 7. Any questions? All right, I have a few problems for you to practice. It's going to be 1 through 11. There are examples and problems. So even though it's 3 pages, it's just 11 problems. You gotta get past the example to get to the problem. I'm going to show you how to do the first one before I let you start on it. All right, number 1 says find the value of c that makes the expression a perfect square trinomial. Then write the expression as the square of a binomial. So how do we find c? C is b over 2 squared. In this case, b is 6. So we have 6 over 2 squared, which is 3 squared, which is 9. So c is 9. Now, how do I write it as a binomial squared, or the square of a binomial? I need to factor it. How do I factor it? These two terms multiply to give me 9 and add to give me 6. There's only 2 numbers that I can multiply to and get 9 and add to get 6. Say it again. It's this number right here, the square root of 9 or half of 6. Either same thing. So the square of a binomial would be x plus 3 squared. This is assignment number 8. You're going to finish 2 through 11.